Good morning, New York. How are you all? It's like a weird wedding. Where you're all, it's like the drunk aunts and uncles that no one likes in the corner over there. Just made the invite list. Hey, good morning to you all. A pleasure to be here. I'm going to talk to you a little today about the future. I'm fascinated by this idea that we're about to have this giant step change. I really do believe that the millennials, and we've been talking about the millennials for 10 years. Everyone is tired of talking about the millennials, especially the millennials, let's face it. And so really, I look at that as the warm-up act. The millennials were the support act to the main event. And the main event really is this step change in consumer expectations, in terms of their value systems, which is what I'm going to spend my whole morning talking about, the values that these new consumers have, and see where our businesses go with that new value system. And historically, we had a very simple way of looking at consumers in the past in terms of digital native and digital immigrant. It was very simple. We kind of said, well, on one side, there's all these digital immigrants who weren't born with Google and weren't born with smartphones and have immigrated to that culture. And on the other side, we have all these digital natives now who grow up inside this wired system. And the difference in those, this is a typical example of a digital immigrant, maybe someone who has been at the workplace, has left for a few years, come back to discover that the technology around her has changed.
Schon vom 21. Jahrhundert gehört?
You've all seen that before, but that's funny. And a little story about that. I've been using that in my consumer behavior module with the university students for 5-7 years, and think of a 500-strong lecture theatre, 18, 19-year-old kids, and that joke has got a smaller laugh every year, and this year nothing, like 500 kids, nothing, because they don't get that joke. They have no idea what that first thing even is. So then you start to realize how far we've gone and how fast we're changing. And on the other side, then you've got the digital natives. You've all seen, oops, hang on, we'll go back one. You've all seen this kind of thing happen. Oh, video's not working. So this idea of a kid, a baby using an iPad. You've all seen this, huh? Yeah, there you go. Thank you so much. AV on. So, these kids, it's normal to them. A magazine is a broken iPad. To them, a magazine is an iPad that's battery's gone, its screen is cracked, it's not working, and they're okay, it's not working, it's not working. So I think in retail, one of our challenges is not to be a magazine. So often the systems and the businesses and the processes we built, we look at them and we think that's fine, that's good. Good, it works, yes. But the next generation look at it and go, that's not doing the thing I wanted to do. And that, as a metaphor, that's kind of a scary place. So that was the old way, the two digital natives and digital immigrants. But the reality is we're trying to now satisfy 6 different generations of consumers all at the same time with our businesses. Everything from the traditionalists through to the baby boomers, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and now the alpha generation at the end. We got lazy when it came to naming the generations. Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z. Oh, we ran out of letters. Fuck it, we'll start again. Hey. And we have 6 now. We never had 6 before, ever, because they just won't die, basically. It's living forever. It's a problem with medical health. So as a business and a brand, how do you design a business that will appeal to 6 different value sets, which is kind of tricky, in terms of what we're trying to do. And in fact, in retail, we tend to center on the middle 4, really. We don't really focus on the alpha generation, because they're only 8 at the moment. And we don't really focus on the traditionalists, because they'll be dead next week. So the center 4 is what we focus on, that baby boomer, Gen X, Gen Y, Gen Z, and that's our key focus. And in fact, if you want to look at that through the music industry, I think it's very good, so we can do a little test here. So the vinyl, the baby boomers were all about the vinyl. Hands up if you were born as a baby boomer between 45 and 64. Come on, hands up, look at you. There. The gold watch is coming. Don't worry, we've only got another year or 2 to work, don't worry. And then what about the Gen X, most of the room, I'm going to guess? Put your hands up. Yes, there we are, look at our Pac-Man, our Walkman. It's cool, Music went mobile, none of this crackly crap. No, went mobile. And then the Discman, do you remember the Discman? Who invented, that was the weirdest product ever. Like, you went for a jog with this thing that inherently skipped all the time. It didn't work. So that was the Discman, and then we had the white wire generation, the millennials. Hands up, millennials. You expectant lot. So there we are with our white wire generation. So that music went not only mobile, but it went digital. And that's a big shift in terms of the way the music industry worked. Steve Jobs said, hang on, why would you buy an album when you can just buy a track? And everyone went, oh, of course, much better. And then, of course, things never stop. This is the idea with value sets and generational shifts. Now you've got Gen Z who says, why would you buy music, you idiot, when you can just stream it, when you can have the world's music at your fingertips with Spotify. So every single kind of generation has its own way of looking at any industry, and its own way of I always think that consumers are like water. You know, they will find their way. They will find their way to the brand, the business that delivers what they want in life. And so it's our job, of course, if we're to protect our industry, if we're to protect our businesses and brands, to understand what these people want in the future. That's what the game is. And it's changed. I mean, this is a Gen Z kids being shown a cassette tape, to stay with that music metaphor.
Give me a demonstration on how to listen to a tape. Oz, where do you put the headphones?
In there. No, you put it into a
Are you getting any music out of it, Oz?
No.
I'm just getting rattles.
You're just getting rattles?
Yeah, how do you turn it on? Is
Do you
there
think
like
it
an
needs
on button?
batteries?
Yeah. You plug it into like this, so basically somehow it plugs into like the TV and you have to watch it through there.
Yeah, it's like when the moment virtual reality meets cassette tapes. Like, So, you know, and again, going back to that baby on the iPad with the magazine, you always have to look at your businesses and brands as, is it a magazine? Is it a cassette? Because I pick up a cassette and I know how it works, I know how to use it. You know, occasionally, nostalgically, I still put them in the car. I have a car with a cassette tape, yeah. It's that bad. So, you know, they have no idea what it is. And sometimes when we build brands and businesses and we kind of hold on to some of the old ways, we think it's cool, but actually it's not so cool. So this race for relevance really is what your business success should all be about. I think relevance should be spray painted in every reception of every business, because that's all you need to be. As long as you hold on to relevance, as long as your brand, your business, your approach is relevant to that next consumer generation, you will survive. Every brand will survive. The moment you drop relevance, you're the CEO of Nokia going, what the hell happened there? You know, so someone will come in and be more relevant. Because when someone is more relevant than you, then relationships fail, businesses fail, everything fails. So relevance is what it's all about. And again, going back to that next generation, the way they look at things, my 11-year-old son asked me the other day, he said, Dad, why is the save icon on my laptop a microwave over an oven? I thought, fair enough. Because he's never seen one of those. You know, he's never seen that. I mean, if there was, like the software engineers, when they're writing those programs and they have icon options, if they put a cloud, he would understand that. He would know you press that to save it to wherever it saves to. That means nothing to that boy. And that's what we do. We still kind of hang on to some of the old ways, thinking they're relevant, but they're not relevant. By the way, the same kid asked me about the movies. He said, why is the movie icon bunk beds? I said, what? You know, because he doesn't know. He's never seen film in his life. He's 11. He's never seen celluloid film. You know? So this is one of my favorite slides about relevance. And it really is about, you know, if you take one slide from my deck, take this away with you today. This is your business at the end of that plank. It's your business, your brand, your industry, if you like. And on the other end are all the consumers and customers that keep it alive. And hopefully you can see very clearly what's going to happen one by one if those customers step off that plank to meet their needs in some other way, which consumers have always done. We have always met our needs, like water, with whatever brand or business does it better for us. And you can see where your business is going. And that's the importance of relevance. It's the importance of understanding this next generation, their values, and what they want out of business and brands. And things always change. And in terms of time, you know, this is one of the most famous ones, isn't it? Before and after. So something happens in the middle, and everything changes. That's the one we kind of know quite well in society. There's another one. It's called BGAG. Before Google, after Google. Because if you were born after Google, if you were born after 1997, you've literally been raised on a diet of immediacy and information. Everything's accessible, everything's instant. And that just changes who you are as a person, not to mind as a consumer, but as a societal individual, it changes you. And those consumers literally come out of the womb today, wired and born for the internet. It's a fun commercial, but I always like that last piece, that last tagline that's been written by a Gen X marketing executive, born for the internet. Because nobody in the Gen Z, or even millennials, uses the word internet. The internet doesn't exist anymore. It's like air. It's like oxygen. No one uses that word because you don't log on to it. You don't go online. Remember all those active verbs that we used to use? Hang on, I'm going online. Hang on a second. When you had to go somewhere, you had to sit down, you had to connect, you know, all that's gone. So this next generation, so yes, the millennials are important, of course, they're a huge consumer spending group, but the Gen Z group are behind them and they're bigger. There are more Gen Zs in America than there are millennials. And their consumer power is going to be heavier. And that's why they're going to be the driving force of the step change. And I was on the subway recently listening to a conversation, because I'm weird. And I was looking at the ground, because I didn't want to be killed. There's two girls, about, I'd say 20, 21 maybe, having a conversation. And they're talking about her new boyfriend. And she says, where does he live? And the other girl goes, he lives like $10 Uber away. And that's one of those moments when you realize, what the fuck? I understand 10 kilometers. I understand, downtown. I understand New Jersey. I understand, since when did $10 Uber become a measure of distance? And then what the weirdest thing about that conversation, she said, $10 Uber, and the other girl goes, okay. It was a language they were speaking. And I'm sitting there thinking, whoa. And there are little moments you realize that things are changing, the language people use changes, the way they look at the world is changing. And again, that same boy, my 11-year-old, who's crazy, like his father, he comes home, this is the quote of the month for me, he comes home and says, Dad, do you know that Amazon have just bought a jungle in South America? I thought, well, based on their current acquisition strategy, wouldn't be surprised. But so things are just different for that generation, And the biggest point I get always at CEO dinners and things is, but people tend to talk about next generations with a lens of a problem. They say, but there's expectant people and they want that. And people think, the changes, that next generation, they're not as good as the first generation, and every generation does that. But really, you need to sort of stop looking at the problems and the changes in the generations, and you need to look at the opportunities that those generations give you. And what's interesting about the Gen Z generation is the parentage. If you want to look at this through a societal, sociological lens. So basically, the millennials were parented by baby boomers. And the baby boomers themselves were quite traditionalist, maybe, a little bit different, obviously, to their traditionalist parents, but they still had inherent traditional values they had carried from their parents. So the millennials have been parented by baby boomers, but of course, these Generation Z are going to be parented by Gen X. And sure, us Gen Xers, we shouldn't be parents at all. So, it's an inherently different value set that this Gen Z generation are growing up with, having inherited from your parents. And obviously, things always change, okay? Every generation has different, fashion is a good one to look at, So you go from the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, all the way through to hipster culture of today. There, you see, things change all the time. Fashion always changes. So do hairstyles. Look at this. This is, 60s, 70s, 80s. My favorite bit is the last one here, the 80s. That's high school photo day. She knew that. She went to school like that. That was as good as it got, That was, look at me, And so everything changed, and I laugh at these things, but every single person in this room can go home to your own photo album, and you can find it. This is mine. Look, this was me aged 18, 19. I don't know what bouffant thing was going on there, but it was, it was good. She was my high school prom date. She was a bitch. Anyway, let's not go there. But what's interesting about fashion and hairstyles, all that, is that those things always change, but the values that you inherit as you grow up, whether you're a millennial, whether you're a boomer, whether you're Gen Z, those values will stay with you for life. Those values are what sets you up as a particular type of consumer, a particular type of societal person. So therefore, it's the values that I'm going to look at for the rest of the speech. What values do these new consumers have that we have to deliver on? Because if you don't deliver on their values, guess what? You're irrelevant. And if you're irrelevant, we know where the plank is going. So I'm going to go through eight values. And some of them will be, highly appropriate for your business, others mightn't, so it's a set of values. They won't all be directly applicable to every single business in the room, but most of them, I'll be honest, are. And the first one is freedom. And this freedom that this next generation want from life, from business, from brands, but from the life they lead, from their relationships, from everything, family, friends. Freedom is a really strong one for this generation. And weirdly, it's because they haven't had to fight for any. Because this generation hasn't had to really fight for social or political or economic freedoms. Now, this is a first world conversation I'm having, obviously, not a third world one. But so they kind of have inherited an inherently free world. And so they then look at that and they kind of think, well, anything's possible. Anything is possible. They really, truly believe as individuals, because they've grown up, remember, inside a technological world that none of us else, I mean, the millennials kind of migrated to omnichannel. But they've been born inside it. So for them, everything is digital. And looking at the pace of technology in the last 10 years, they really do look at the world and think, well, everything is possible. Everything should work first time, every time. Everything is doable. Because they're growing up in a world of artificial intelligence, and we're only at literally, 0.1 of artificial intelligence, I think, as to where we're going to go. We're playing with Siri, we're playing with Alexa. It's all great fun, but really, it's not where it's going to go. It's going to be something far, far more invasive. And they know that, and they're kind of ready for it. We're growing up in a world of robotics. And again, this is the Moley robot. I love this. This is the Moley chef. It's a 3D camera, watches a chef make food and mimics those movements. So for casual dining, if you want to make spaghetti bolognese or Caesar salad, you don't need a chef. It'll do that. And so it's very simple stuff. This is the Starship delivery robot. So again, this is touted as the last mile. This will solve the last mile issue in terms of logistics and supply chain. So robotics is going to be just a norm in their life. They look at everything every day. They look at their feed and they see more AI, more robotics. Everything's possible. I'm not too sure about this as the solution, by the way. Maybe this would work in like Germany. Maybe New York it would work. I don't know. If you had this in Ireland, like 40 would go out and none would come back. They'll all be teenagers racing down the hill like, oh, yeah. So, but this is is this the future? I don't know. Virtual reality. This is my all-time favorite picture of virtual reality. Yeah, I don't know when this will become socially acceptable. To go on a date and think, well, you don't really look like your Tinder picture. So if you don't mind, oh my God, you're really hot now. It's like technological beer goggles. But like the way they interact with products, the way they interact with services, the way they interact with the travel industry, it's all going to change through this. And then the freedoms in terms of geography. This is really interesting. This is a sociological value again. They don't really value house ownership. They look at this and think, well, why would you own a house, 40-year mortgage, debt, have to stay in the one place and pay it off all your life? That's not the life they want to live. They intend to live in several places, several countries, several continents. They don't see house ownership. And remember, the entire financial institution banking, personal banking, is based on the profitability of the mortgage product. If that goes away, what happens? Financial services think, oh, crap. So there's big things up for grabs here. This is the Mayfair in This is the Collective in London. So this is a new model for Gen Z and millennial living where you rent or buy the sleeping pod, which is the bathroom and the ensuite, kind of like a hotel room. And then everything else is shared. You have a collective living space, collective dining space, collective laundry room, collective workspaces. Everything is shared, because why would you want to own a dining room when you're only going to use it for 1 hour a day? So this idea of freedom is really interesting. And then this is what I came across. This is a Texas business called Casita. They take urban spaces that are empty. They build a steel cage. They put 9 pods into the cage. Into each pod, there's a basic sleeping space, study space, kitchen, bathroom for 1 or 2 people to live in. There's 3 connections to the grid: Wi-Fi, water, and power, and that's it. When you want to move house, you literally take out the app, press the button, put in your new location, they unplug the Wi-Fi, the power, the water, slip your pod out onto the truck, and off you go. Your whole house moves with you into the next grid, like a snail moving house. So this idea of that's that flexibility that the next generation wants, just where will I live today, where will I live tomorrow, very simple. And then the same way they want to work, most of the Gen Z population I speak to don't intend to work for somebody. They intend to be freelance. Most white-collar work, by 2040 certainly is predicted at least 50% of the white-collar workforce may very well be freelance. So this idea of work wherever you want, whenever you want, all these pop-up workspaces, this is again, they're there because that next generation value that way of working. That working that isn't cubicle-based for a brand, for an office in the one space every day. It's not what they want. It's not what they want out of their life, out of their work life, or out of their personal life. So they want this freedom to be themselves. And as a consumer, as a business, you need to feed into that, you see. You need to give them ownership of that and say, yeah, you can be yourself with us, with my brand, with my business. And that's one of those things, those levers you got to press. And I think one good example is that mobile phone contract. That mobile phone contract, you buy a new cell phone, and the vendor says to you, okay, here's the contract, 24 months or 12 months or 18 months, whatever. And you have, how many people here have a contract? Put your hands up. Yeah, okay, maybe half the room, maybe more. And so they're saying to you, you have to stay with us. It's not brand loyalty, it's like handcuffs. That's what it is. It's brand handcuffs. And the next generation don't do that, you see. So T-Mobile says, well, hang on a second. Why don't we, hey, someone from T-Mobile. I'll give you my address for a check later. So this idea of, why would you make a consumer do anything? And this is, if you want to make a note here, this is about customer journey. Why would you make your consumer go along the customer journey the way you want them to? That's not the way it works anymore. So you really have to let them be them, and you build your business and brand around them. So they have to have the freedom to choose, and they do. They choose every brand, every business, every retailer they visit. They choose every day. It's easier on digital now to get rid of your brand, get rid of your business. So really, you have to build a business that's strong enough for them to choose you, because they're the ones with the freedom to do whatever they want. So what you want to take out of that is you have to have the confidence to kind of somehow set your customer free, to build a business and a brand that is so solid, that is so based on authenticity and genuine respect for the customer, such a good high quality product that they want you. And that you don't have to lock them in, or that you don't have to chase them with crappy emails, and they come to you. That's the kind of business that you need to build. So freedom is really interesting as a value driver. The second one I want to talk about is the sharing economy, or the we economy. So now we've kind of moved away. The millennials kind of discovered the sharing economy. They played with it a little bit. But really, this next generation are going to make it their own. So we're looking at me to the power of we. So basically, this is going to be about us as a generation of consumers, us not against you as a brand or business, but willing to work with you to fulfill our hopes and dreams. So they've grown up inside the natural collaborative environment from the very beginning. Again, if you look at this anthropologically, they've spent their entire generation on Instagram and Facebook and Snapchat, and they've been sharing their opinions, their experiences from the very beginning. They've been listening to what other people think. They've grown up in a peer network, of peer reviews of Amazon and TripAdvisor and all this stuff. They've always been watching. So that has naturally bred them into being quite collaborative, actually. They're probably the most collaborative generation ever. They share everything. They're okay with sharing. So, you take it, I take it, you take it, I take it. I'll use it for a little bit, you use it for a little bit. That's really interesting, because it's actually natural in their behavior to share, which is nice. So they're like these two cats. This goes on for 8 minutes. These are Gen Z cats. And not once do they have a go. So they're naturally collaborating. And then you have businesses like Le Tote, which is, anyone here from Le Tote? I like this business. So the idea of why would you own clothes when you can kind of, rent them, or when you can subscribe to having clothes on a regular basis sent to your home every month so you've always got in-season, on-trend clothes. Makes sense, doesn't it? And that model of kind of why own when you can have access to is the real challenge in terms of that sharing economy piece. So when you look at it, why would you own a car when you can just press the button and get an Uber anytime you want? Why would you own a CD when you can have Spotify? And keep going now. Keep going with anything you want, put into that first bit. Why would you own it when you only need access to it? And that's a fundamental consumerist shift. Because you see, we've built the entire consumerist ecosystem on the basis that we produce stuff, we retail it, we sell it, and then you own it. And that's the way it's supposed to work, that you own it and you buy it, and then it breaks down 10 years later, you buy another one. And that's the system. But what if that system is inherently challenged by this next generation that say, well, no. I don't want to own a house. I just need access to that dining room when I need it for 1 hour a day. I just need access. I don't need to own a car. And car ownership is the big one, Every American at 17 thinks about their first pickup or whatever, And those days are kind of gone. That's the scary thing, People look at car ownership as a liability now, as a negative. Why would you own it and look after it and have to insure it and tax it and all these things when we all have a private chauffeur that you just press the button and you have a private chauffeur who brings you wherever you want, far significantly cheaper than ever buying a car. So there's challenges here to do with how what is retail? Let's have a philosophical moment. What is retail? Because retail is basically the place where people buy stuff that we produce or someone produces. And what if that system starts to break down and people just think, well, we don't need to own it, we just share it. So retail becomes a sharing brokerage, or I don't know. It's too early to tell, but certainly the value system is there for them to. And then you have all this collaboration between consumers and companies. So, why would you let Lay's choose the flavor? You get to choose the next flavors as consumers. And consumers like collaboration, Here's another one from Eastern Europe.
The Alps, one of the purest places on planet Earth. This is where our and your story begins. Inspired by the long tradition of the healing power of plants and the development of active botanicals, we bring you the best from nature with a little bit of help from the future. Welcome to the world of Balthazar. Alp Stories is a completely new system of custom-made natural cosmetics. They're not only made for you, you make them, and you do it from the comfort of your own home. Choose from a variety of natural ingredients, and with our easy-to-use software, create the formula for your own shower gel, body milk, body oil, or bath salt. All the ingredients that you add to your formula are a perfectly balanced blend of PFF-free ingredients. Alp Stories products are created without parabens, synthetic fragrances, mineral oils, or silicone. Your creativity doesn't end here. Now, make your own label. Either use one of the existing templates or upload your own design. Finally, add the name and press go. This is the message to our robot Balthazar to start mixing your formula. Alp Stories. It's all about bringing nature to you. Every product that you create will be as unique as you are. Make them for you and your loved ones. Join us at alpstories.com. Alp Stories, where nature meets future.
So we'll talk about personalization later on, but this idea of collaboration is really interesting, that you don't get to be the end consumer anymore. So again, in our customer journeys, we tended to draw that straight line of, we produce, and at the end was the consumer. Sometimes kind of a person that was, inconvenient. But at the moment, really, that's not the system anymore. The system is that they might even be the producer of the product. And the need for collaboration with your brand, your business, is really inherent in their values. And if they just feel like the end transaction, they will never be loyal to you. They will never have a genuine link to your brand or business. And they will expect some form of investment collaboratively in the business. And again, that extends even into the workplace. It's really challenging, actually, as Gen Zs take up roles in our organizations. They expect to collaborate with your competitors quite openly. Because remember, they're a collaborative generation. So they expect to be able to collaborate with your competitors to build a better industry, to build a better business. And that's really hard for people, who say, no, this is our business. We don't talk to our competitors. And in fact, there's all sorts of mad collaboration going on. This is one I came across last week from Spotify and AccuWeather. So Spotify have combined with AccuWeather to provide playlists based on the weather. So this is what people listen to when it's raining. This is what people listen to when it's sunny. Who needs that collaboration? But there's lots of collaborative stuff being thrown at the wall. What's really interesting is the side hustle. So every Gen Z employee that joins your organizations in the next 5 years is likely to have a side hustle. And their side hustle is their own business. It could be a food business, it could be a digital business, more likely to be probably something digital, but it is something that they are inherently passionate about, but they also have your job. And how do you deal with that? So you walk past the desk and your employee is there and you look at it and it's 2 p.m. and on the screen is his business, let's say. Facebook is updating social media stuff, and you think, well, hang on. I'm paying you right now. What are you doing? And quite correctly, he'll turn around and he'll say, well, yeah, but at 8 p.m. tonight, I'll be answering an email about my job when I'm at home. So, it's all just one thing. And he's, of course, correct. And in terms of collaboratively, then, of course, a lot of the side hustles that they will be working on will be stuff that you might end up using in your own business, either acquiring them or using the energy from it or the ideas. And so if we're trying to be innovative, which is the whole point of this conference, of course, the Retail Innovation Conference, if we're trying to drive innovation, then we have to respect people's creativity, their passion for their side hustle, and allowing them to bring that passion of their side hustle to work, hopefully leveraging and synergizing off it somehow within what we do. It's kind of a bit of a mind melt if you're a baby boomer or Gen X, because you think, no, this is my business. But that's just the shift in the way they want to work and the way they want to collaborate with lots of different ways, So what do we mean by all that piece about the Weconomy? Basically, it comes down to that collaborating with your consumer is really going to be key to your survival. Understanding that they're not an end point, that they're not a transaction, that they're not numbers at the end that you sell to, that they're actually and should be part of the production process, part of the marketing communications process, part of everything, part of the brand and the business. So it's no longer kind of a straight line. Number 3. Flexibility. Having the flexibility that this generation expect of everything they interact with in the world. So really, we used to kind of, again, run consumers and shoppers through mazes of customer journeys, but today, they really, they just want what they want, and they want it now, and that's it. There's no other way around this. They want it immediately, they want it with one click. And the old ways of working, if you look at them, simply don't open any new doors for us. It's a cassette, it's a magazine. This doesn't work for us. So yes, the disruption is everywhere. There's no denying it, particularly in retail. Some businesses still don't get it. This is a very simple example. I stay in hotels all the time. I travel the world. And in many hotels, they say, please give us $5 for Wi-Fi. How do people feel when that happens to you? When you open the thing and you ask for money for Wi-Fi, there's an inherent, and remember, most of us are Gen Xers here. And we still get that reaction. You get that, well, fuck you. You get that, well, is there a tax for using the towels? If I have 2 showers, will there be extra $10 on my bill? Because you think, well, Wi-Fi is just it's just you need it to survive. And that's a business that doesn't necessarily understand that there has been a shift. Because see, hotels come from a place where 15 years ago, they made so much money out of the telephone. Remember the telephone calls that you made in a hotel? Sorry, honey, yeah, I only can talk for 10 seconds. I'm on a hotel phone. Bye. You know? And then then we all had cell phones, and no one used the hotel phone anymore. And then the hotel said, well, now we have to make money somehow out of the bastards, so let's charge them for Wi-Fi. You know, so like you can't do that. And then these ones, staying with that hotel room, how many people here, can I ask, have plugged their laptop into an Ethernet connection in the last 3 years? Is there anybody? And yet every hotel room I stay in has these things, Ethernet ports, often next to the bed. But is there somewhere where I can plug my bloody USB in? No. No. And every one of us, I'm sure, have had that opportunity, or that moment where you go to bed at night and you want to plug your phone in, don't you? And it's your alarm, and it's your life, let's face it. And you look for the thing, and you're there, and you move the locker, and you think, where is it? And then behind, there's the plug that isn't a real plug. It's a pretend kind of roundy plug in case you steal the lamp that your thing doesn't fit into, and you can't. And then you end up plugging your phone in over here, like and you're sleeping over there. Now, first world problems, like, it doesn't really matter, you know, like, but you get quite upset. You're thinking like, well, I'll be over there, my phone's over here. How am I going to WhatsApp at 2 a.m.? You know, and so again, it's a hotel that says, well, instead of thinking about, oh well, it suits, like, no one needs an Ethernet cable, so what do they need to do? You know, someday they need to come in and take all those away and just rewire them with USBs, or reroute the power to the locker for the USB connection. It's just simple stuff. But they don't think about it because they don't really put the consumer at the center. It's the consumer's the person at the end. And another great one to do with flexibility, or lack thereof. The Irish Rail, they're an Irish train company. I'm from Ireland. And they're a train company. They're about 50 years behind the rest of the world. This is a transport company that their tagline, I don't joke about this, their tagline when they were redoing the tracks for a few years, you know, redoing the operation stuff. And their tagline at the time was, we're not there yet, but we're getting there. It's a transport company. And their tagline was, we're not there yet. You're like, what? So, but they launched Wi-Fi on the train last year. Like, and they made such a big fuss about it PR-wise, you swear they had invented Wi-Fi, you know? And, we've Wi-Fi on our trains, that's amazing. So I logged on once onto the train, and I got this message, you know, you're connected. And I read the small print that said, to ensure the best experience for everyone, we have blocked usage of streaming sites like YouTube and Netflix. So basically anything you'd like to do on a train. Like you're traveling for 3 hours, you can check your email once. Other than that, you know? So again, complete lack of flexibility, complete lack of consumer centricity. And again, as businesses, we sometimes do this. We laugh at the example on the slide, but you go back to your own business and your business processes and have a good look. And what you'll find is you're kind of doing the same thing. You've got the Wi-Fi, so you think, tick. But actually, if you dig down, maybe you're not exactly delivering and being as flexible as you should be to the customer, you know? And again, that world is changing. So this was the old way. You know, you looked for a cab and you waved your hand, but now, of course, we just press the button. And I love looking at the numbers behind this, and it gives you an idea, again, of relevance and the need for flexibility, the need for staying relevant. So you look at the Ford Motor Company, huge mobility brand, you know, one of the most historic ones we have. It's 114 years old. It's worth $55 billion. And then you take Uber, who's only 8 years old and worth 70. And that gives you an idea of that need for relevance and that need for flexibility. If you do it in a way that's more flexible, then mobility becomes something that they value, and therefore the market capitalization shifts. And in 8 years alone, they've outstripped a player who's 114 years old. And you take the same thing with the hospitality industry. You do the Airbnb example. What happened? Look at the Hilton. Hilton's nearly 100 years old as a brand. Again, worth $20 billion. Airbnb's only 9 years old and worth $31 billion. Imagine a 9-year-old with $31 billion, you know? Gives you an idea of the scale of this. So what's happening is that the consumers are finding more flexible ways to do what they want to do, which they always will in terms of relevance. And those players who are meeting those needs are making more money. And that's what you need to do as a business. So you need to be flexible. There's always old ways and new ways. I mean, this was the old way of meeting someone. You went to a bar, you had a few beers, your eyes met across the room. You gave her some more beers, hopefully, that she would find you somehow attractive. You know, that's how it worked. And this is the new way. You know, swipey, swipey. Hey. So, you know, is it more efficient? Actually, it is, yeah. And actually, what's interesting about continuous improvement is that no matter how good a system you build, there's always somebody in the world who will build it better. This is a real product. This is called the Tinder finger. And you plug it into your phone, and it does all the work for you. Now, obviously, you don't really get to control who you match, so I can't imagine what your match is. You've matched the whole of New York there. So yeah, there's always someone who does it better. But so we need to look at retail and come up with better ways of doing it. And what I will tell you is that processes kill that. Processes kill flexibility. So if you have any process in your business to do with consumers, or even how you bring products to market, processes of how you open stores, processes of how you enter new markets, these things are the things that will slow your business down, that will kill it, and that will kill the relevance to the next consumer generation. Now, obviously, we have to have some of them to make things happen, but you have to be very careful that you don't bed yourself down in these things. The customer journey has become very complicated, lots of different touch points, physical, digital. It's very complicated today, but you need to be flexible. You need to have the inherent flexibility to be all about the consumer, all about their needs. If you hold on to that, then you will deliver a relevant product. And again, that startup culture that all these Gen Zs come from, remember, that's the culture of startups. The 6 people, and they're very flexible, very adaptive. They can go in any direction. And that's the kind of energy they want not only to work in, but they also want that energy from brands and businesses. They want that energy of a startup. You know, they want the excitement of a startup from every store they visit, every digital platform they visit. They want to feel that energy, that sense of flexibility, that sense of we'll do it whatever way you want us to do it because you're the important person in this equation. They need to feel that if you're going to be relevant to them as a business. I'll tell you a little story. I was in London recently. I was in this store called Cyberdog. If you're ever in London, it's in Covent Garden. No, it's in Camden Market. It's kind of a futuristic store. It's a bit mad, all sorts of metal and leather clothes and crazy stuff. And I was going to a fancy dress party. So I went down to a perfect place. This is a perfect store. So I spent about half an hour in there, and I got it down to 2 costumes. And I couldn't decide between the 2 of them. So I eventually bought one, and I spoke to the manager. I remember his name was Thomas. He was the assistant manager. And we had a bit of a chat. And he said, oh, it's a good costume. I went home, and in the store where all the lighting and the sound and the smoke, I looked bloody cool. Then when I was home in my fluorescent bathroom lighting, and I thought, okay, there's no way I'm going out in public in this. So I thought, you know what, that second costume was a little bit more conservative. I think I'll go back and get that one. So the next day I went back, and weirdly enough, the same guy was working on the register. I thought, fantastic, Thomas. And he remembered me from yesterday. It was only yesterday. And he said, hey, how's it going? I said, look, I went back. So I said, I'm going to take that other one. He's so sorry, there's no refunds. I said, sorry? He said, oh, well, we don't do refunds. You'd have to buy the other one. I said, but pal, I just bought this from you yesterday. They were both, let's say, $120 each. And I said, but I bought this yesterday, and I haven't even worn it. Like, it's just, you know. He said, well, unless there's something wrong with it, we don't take it back. I said, well, you don't do store credit, or you don't, like. He said, no, sorry. I thought, well, yeah, but I was getting quite irate. You know, he said, you'd have to buy the other one. I said, I don't want to buy, then I'll have 2 costumes that I don't want afterwards. I said, so, no. I said, you know. He said, well, unless there's something wrong with it, I can't do it. That's the system. Back to processes and systems and lack of flexibility for the customer. He said, that's the way it is. He said, unless there's something wrong with that, I can't take it back. I said, well, there isn't anything wrong with it. I just don't like it. And he said, unless there's something wrong with it, I can't take it back. And I was so angry, I still didn't hear him. I said, yeah, but there is nothing wrong with it. He said, I'll try this one more time. He said, unless there's something wrong with it, then I can't take it back. And then I said, okay, yeah, there's something wrong with it. And then he picked it up and he said, yeah. And he took a buckle, he ripped it off with his hand. He said, look at that shoddy workmanship. And he switched it over and he sold me the other one, no problem. So he was stuck in a process. He wasn't able to do what he needed to do. He was stuck by the corporate process that had been given to him. We don't exchange stuff unless something wrong with it. And he, as a creative retailer, was able to try and work something out that sent the customer away happy, who now tells that story, by the way, all over the world. So isn't it interesting that we've given our employees, our stores, processes to work with that sometimes they're not great, you know? So you have to yes, they have to have the autonomy to do it, but you have to be flexible today to whatever the customer wants. Ultimately, give them complete flexibility. Build complete flexibility into how you build your business, your brand, your customer journey. It has to be there. Otherwise, Gen Z just simply won't see you as relevant. They will move on before you even have a chance to recover. You don't get second chances really with this next consumer set. Number 4, the desire for instant. And this is really obvious, and we all suffer from this ourselves, even, to be honest. You know, as baby boomers, as any digital immigrant, we already have a demand for instant. Do you remember Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, that movie? This is Veruca Salt. She was a nasty piece of work. Yeah, her father, she wanted the golden goose. Remember, Daddy, I want the golden goose. He bought all the chocolate bars to try and find her a golden ticket. I want it now, everything I want it now. Well, welcome to an entire consumerist generation of Veruca Salts, you know? They don't understand this. That means nothing to them. The icon or the word. Buffering is something a janitor does to a floor. You know, they don't wait. They don't wait for stuff. I often watch kind of Gen X or baby boomers, something isn't loading, they go, give it a moment, give it a moment. Yeah, Gen Z don't give it a moment. You know, if it doesn't work, it's gone. That's it, gone. You know, I was doing some research with the Alpha generation. Remember those 7, 8-year-old kids recently for Disney on media consumption. And I was talking to them about the TV Guide. I said, you know, blah, 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 the TV Guide. And they said, what? I said, you know, the TV Guide, the magazine that... It tells you what's on every day and the time. What? I said, you know the magazine that they had never heard of a TV guide? They had never seen a TV guide. So I explained to them the concept of this TV guide, and they said, what? But like, what if you wanted to watch something now? I said, well, you'd have to wait till Wednesday. And they went, and they said, and if you liked one, if you watched an episode and you wanted to watch the next one, what would you do? I said, you have to wait till the next week. And they went, this is a generation that everything is now. Everything is just is. It is now. I want it now. And this is the entire consumerist generation that we've bred. And and Jeff Bezos, when he wants to fly that drone and the FDA are stopping him, he doesn't want to do it because he wants to play with technology. Because Amazon has always been a you want it now business. It's a delivery business. The minute you think about it, you want it now. And the Amazon Instant. I mean, I love that idea. 3 minutes. Delivery within 3 minutes to the locker. Like, Jesus, we thought same-day delivery was cool. Then it was 30-minute drone delivery. Now it's 3 minutes. Next, it'll be, I've just thought about it, and Jeff Bezos will be actually at your door. Here you go. So the idea of instant, everything is instant. We are the dancing dots consumer today. Everything is, you're always kind of on, aren't you? You're always feedback, come on. You're on Messenger, come on, yeah. You're waiting for the message back. Or even better, this one, I like this one better. So you send the message, little 1 grey tick, then 2 grey ticks, and you get the 2 blue ticks. And the fucker doesn't answer back. And you're there thinking, well, I know you've read it. And you see online at the top, don't you? And it's slowly boiling up inside you. And you're thinking, come on. And like, you've no idea, like maybe a person's driving, maybe they're having a shower, and they've left their phone open, but no, you don't care. Because you think, well, come on. So think about that and multiply it by 500 in terms of that Gen Z expectation of everything is feedback. They've grown up inside a feedback environment where everything is instant, everything is fed back, everything is... So, that's why Snapchat's more relevant to them than Facebook. It's all instant. This is the Gen Z consumer. I like cats. So, 1 touch, 1 press, you get what you want. Whatever you need in life, you press the button once and you get it. That's what they've been taught. They've been taught with smartphones, with iPads, with digital, that with 1 press, you get what you want. You get it immediately, you get a high-quality instant product. And anything that's complicated... I mean, watch this grey cat. Anything that's hard, they'll find a way around it. Remember, they will find their way around you. Yeah, I could use my bell, I could do that. Or, Jesus, I could use your bell over here. So, like... They will find their way through it very quickly. This is one of my favorite pieces of instant. This is the Domino's Pizza fridge Bluetooth magnet. I love this thing. It's a Bluetooth magnet. It goes on your fridge, and all it does is talks to your smartphone. Because in your smartphone, of course, you have the Domino's Pizza app with your favorite pizza recorded and your credit card. And so when you're hungry, you go into your fridge, and you do this. Boo. That's it. So the magnet fires to your phone orders the pizza, and 20 minutes later, your pizza arrives. And the weird thing about this is when you use it first, you get quite excited, like a little kind of technological nerd. And you press it, and you go, oh. And you open the app, and you see the little motorbike coming, and you go, oh, look, I just pressed my fridge, and he's coming. And you get and you're at the window, oh, there he is. The 3rd time you press the fridge, do you know what you do? You press the fridge, and after about 2 minutes, you go, fuck's sake. Because you think, where's my pizza? So, like, the expectation of our generation is amazing. And I looked, this is a serious product. This was on my breakfast table about 2 months ago. It was a Kellogg's promotion, personalized spoon. I thought, okay, maybe kids want a personalized spoon, I don't know. And step 1, step 2, step 4, your spoon will be delivered in 90 days. That's 3 months for a spoon. I'm like, what? My 11-year-old boy, that boy, he says to me, Dad, will I be 18 then? I said, you need to go back and study maths. But this idea of what were this company thinking? That they thought that was appropriate. Because that was the 1980s model, wasn't it? Remember 28 days mail catalog or 90 days for a spoon? That we might have thought that was okay in the 90s. Maybe the spoon was coming from Jupiter, I don't know. But now you can't do that kind of thing, So the idea of instant, what does that mean for your business? That immediate delivery on whatever you promise. And I don't mean just the supply chain element of delivery. I mean customer service, I mean products, I mean new product innovation, I mean relevance, I mean authenticity, all those things. You need to deliver them immediately because really there is no waiting there. And I mean 1 second of waiting and you're less relevant to me as a brand or business. So the step change has arrived and the game simply has just changed. It's a bit scary, Number 5 kind of feeds out from the instant piece, I guess, is that value that this generation have of expectancy. They expect everything, And Shakespeare once wonderfully said, expectation is the root of all heartache. So unfortunately, when you expect things to be up here and you don't get them up here, do you know what you feel? Slightly angry and disappointed. So expectations are dangerous. So I'll tell you one from my own life. My daughter is big into Frozen. Wish she wasn't. hate the movie. So, thankfully she's grown out of it now, but this is about 2 years ago, and everything was frozen. And so one day she came to me and said, Daddy, she saw this picture somewhere, I can't remember where it was, a magazine maybe, and she brought it to me and said, Daddy, can you make me an Olaf pancake? And I said, of course, I'm a super father, of course I can. So this is her expectation, remember, and this is what she got. And so she had nightmares for 2 weeks. Like, it's chasing me. So, disappointing consumers is not where you want to go. Okay, you don't want to disappoint your consumer. It's not a good place to be. And actually, this whole generation, this whole X Factor generation, again, dipping back into anthropology here, they've been bred this diet of everyone can make it. Everyone deserves a place in the sun, in the stars. Everyone, it could be you, it could be you, it could be you, it could be of Saul. And that's not great, you see, because their expectations are very, very high. This idea, again, my kids came back from the sports day last, was it 2 months ago? They came back from their sports day with a 13th place medal. There was 12 lanes in the race. Like, who gives out 13th place medals? Everyone's a winner. No, well, guess what? Not everyone's a winner. And I'm going to show you, again, this ability to drop the ball in terms of expectations for our customer journeys. This is a bank ad from Ireland. Again, typical bank ad. It's about being there for you, because your bank always wants to be there for you, don't they? They're there for you, if you want to buy a house, if you want to start a business, if you want to get married, need a loan, no problem. We're there for you, It's a beautiful award-winning ad. Have a look at the ad.
Help for the movers. Help for the shakers. For the dreamers and schemers. And pure innovators. Help for the truth seekers. The change makers. The ideas creators. And let's not forget those tasty little cupcake bakers. Help for leaders and healers. And climbers up ladders. For players and trainers and ladies' day hatters. Help for the fingers that work with the soil. For hands that know labor and hands that know toil. From the swearing of vows to the sharing of platters. Because helping each other is help for what matters.
Isn't that beautiful? We'd all want our bank to be that. Then I walked past a branch, and they're closed for lunch. So we're there for you. We're there for you for whatever you need, except between lunchtime, where I'm having a sandwich, so fuck off. So what? So this is a great example, again, of a business that, in terms of every touch point in the customer journey needs to be flexible, adaptive, perfect about you, and you can't drop it. And again, this next generation of YouTubers, I think YouTube is fascinating because they've again been brought up inside a culture where they all believe they have a voice, which is actually a really good thing for society. They believe that their opinion is as valid as everyone else's opinion in the world. They follow YouTubers themselves, but they themselves also have their channel, and they have what they have to say. They have what they have to say on Instagram. They have what they have to say on YouTube. They believe they have a voice, strong voice that can make a change in the world, and I like that. It's a really, really good thing for society in general. But it also gives them, an expectancy in the world. They feel that they own the world. They own the world. They own the brands that they buy. They own the businesses they interact with. They feel that they own them, not you. You don't own the business. They own the business because they're the customers. And that expectancy kind of shifts the little balance for us a little bit, and we have to adapt to that. Again, they expect when they take that seat in the workplace as Gen Z workers to take a seat at the boardroom table. And you think, well, you've just joined. But they kind of think, yeah, well, I have more relevance than you have, pal. And they have a point in a weird way. You have all the experience. You might have 20, 30 years retail experience, but they're closer to the customer. And so there's a kind of it's hard to manage their expectations. They certainly want a lot from life and a lot from the brands and businesses. So in terms of what you have to do as a business for them, keeping all these expectant things in mind is that you have to get it right first time, every time. There's no recovery. So you really have to deliver to them. And you have to give them everything they want because they do expect things at quite a high level. And there's no point in railing against it. There's no point in saying, oh, these guys are wanting everything. No, you're fine. You keep shouting away and watch the plank fall as they find a brand or business that will give them what they want first time, every time. And that's the challenge. Okay, number 6, that phygital world we live in today, that physical-digital collision. So again, back to my point that the millennials discovered omnichannel, but this is the first generation of consumers who are growing up inside it. A truly phygital world where everything experienced is going to be both physical and digital at the same time. The touch points need to be identical. The same brand tone needs to come across at every point on the customer journey, whether physical or digital. It's a scary reality for us. So yes, you can do things in many ways. You can go into a physical grocery store and buy your shopping. You might go into Amazon Go and do your shopping. You might go onto Amazon or Fresh Direct and do your shopping. So basically, it's all just groceries in the end. But the way you want to satisfy your needs today or this hour might be different. They'll use all those channels to meet their needs at the same time. So it is a truly connected world today. And they expect the system that you build to know about them at every point and to be able to action their needs, whether it's the store, whether it's digital, everywhere. And I had this really mad experience in Tommy Hilfiger store in Ireland recently. And I went in, I passed the window, there were some shoes I liked, I went in to try on the shoes, and she said, sorry, we don't have them in your size. I thought, okay, can I try on some shoes that were the same? It was the same shoe, but different color. She said, yeah, here you go. I said, okay, I like those. I said, so can you deliver the green ones that I want to my home tomorrow? She said, no, I can't. I said, well, do you not have an iPad that you can just pull out and order? No, you have to do that yourself. I thought, oh, thanks. Now remember, I'm Gen X, so I should be okay with these things, but I thought, no. I said, can you not do it? And she said, well, I can call a store, and they might have stock. I said, oh, do that so. She said, okay, I'll call a store section. Yes, the store in the city centre has stock, so you can go there and pick it up. I thought, I think not. I think they can ship it to my house tomorrow. And no, the system couldn't do that. And it turned out that the retail physical stores don't have anything to do with the digital stores. They're separate businesses. They don't talk to each other. They don't get on. So you can't do that anymore. The customer expected, they want one click. Remember, one click, I want the shoes. So I didn't buy those shoes out of spite. Isn't that mad? I still want the shoes. I actually want them as a consumer, but I refuse to buy them because their system isn't connected. It's just crazy. So I was in Rebecca, and I think all retailers struggle with this. All retailers struggle with the omni-channel thing. How do you make your physical store and your digital experience a seamless, frictionless Wizard of Oz experience? How do you do it? And I remember walking into the Rebecca Minkoff's the concept store here in New York a couple of years ago, and they struggled. Inside the store, there's this big giant screen. Have you been in the store? And you can you can browse all the clothes. It's amazing. You can look at all the collections, and it's fantastic. Except you're in the bloody store. Like you can just turn around and there's all the clothes on the rails. Okay. So who the hell plays with the screen? This is the idea, this retail's obsession with technology for the sake of technology. I asked the sales assistant, I said, who uses the screen? She said, well, mostly children, to be honest. It's like, you have to make sure that you're delivering for a reason. And I was driving my car about a year ago along the motorway. This is another one of these moments like the subway conversation. You realize the world is changing. And this guy calls up with talk radio, and he says, look, I'm about 35, 37, and I have a new girlfriend. She's much younger than me. She's about 25, and she wants to have Skype sex tonight. And I have no idea what that is. So I'm driving my car to go. And then the DJ says, well, look, I'm 55. I can't even use Skype. So I said, no. I said, I'm no use to you. He said, but let's ask the country. And the typical, like literally down the middle division between the country. It was amazing. Digital immigrants, digital natives. So all the digital immigrants were calling in saying, oh, that sounds creepy, dude. She'll record your image and she'll sell it on pornographic websites and she'll blackmail you, So all the privacy concerns. And then all the digital natives were like, Jesus, what's the problem, Grandad? And then this guy called up, this typical Phygital example. This guy calls up. I still remember him, John. John from Dublin calls up. He says, look, I'm 26. He said, my girlfriend lives in Dublin. So do I. And about twice a week we have Skype sex because I couldn't be bothered driving across the city. I nearly crashed my car. I thought, like, what? Like sex, you're supposed to be there. Isn't that the point? Like that, like the fundamental, carnal thing. It's just two people, but for him, he's decided that there's a digital version and a physical version, and they're kind of both the same thing, aren't they? Really, in the end. So like, he's basically Phygitalized his sex life, and I was driving thinking, like, if you can do that for sex, then you can certainly do it for selling shirts, or everything else in consumer land, everything in terms of retail, yeah. So it's just normal. For him, it's just normal. It's two sides of the same coin. So again, forget the omni-channel word. Omnipotent is what you need to be. You need to be the same thing in every place at every time. That's what your brand needs to be to survive today. You need to be there everywhere. Number 7, customization. This is critical. Personalizing the product offering. Being unique in general to the consumer. So we see it everywhere. We see names on bottles and names on Nutella. So it's not a general runner. It's your runner. You've customized your Nike. You've customized your Adidas. And why is this important? Why has it happened? Because every time they logged on to the system, remember this generation have grown up inside this digital system. The system remembers who they are. You see, Amazon says, "Hey, welcome back. Here's what you bought last time. Maybe you want to buy this. Here's what people who bought what you bought. So it's always helping you see. So it's already personalizing everything in your life. Cookies they're not biscuits. It's not a monster. For this generation, they're the thing that helps the whole system work. It's the thing that helps us, the system remembers me, prompts me, it's all good. And then there's different points along the customer journey. People always ask me, well, how do I personalize, how do I scale? You can personalize anything. So look at the work that the Hilton are doing on hotel room. Have a look at this.
How about a room near the pool?
You're the one that likes to swim, not me.
I know, but it'll remind you of me.
You're right. That's the room for me.
With the Hilton Honors app, you can choose the room that's right for you.
I love this because it's so simple. Like we've been booking our own airline seats for years. Why can't you own your own hotel room? And this is a pure psychological trick because by the time you get there, it's not the Hilton's room anymore now, you see? It's your room. So you're arriving to your room. And that's just a little nod towards personalization. And then they did this.
I gave you the key when we were leaving the room.
I gave it to you at the pool.
Did he just use his phone?
He just...
Like bleep bleep?
Open your door with digital key, only on the Hilton Honors app.
Bleep bleep?
Bleep, bleep. So again, now it's your room and your phone opening your door to your room. So we can take any element of the customer journey and personalize it. And you can do it at scale, and big brands are doing it. This is KitKat, KitKat, international brand. You can go and make your own KitKat. This is back to the personalization bit. You can choose milk, dark, or white chocolate. You can choose any ingredients you want from the system, chili flakes, mint, marshmallow, whatever, into your KitKat, and then your KitKat is made for you behind the glass. Takes 45 minutes. The chocolatiers make it. You upload the packaging, the photograph. There's no other KitKat in the world like this KitKat. It's the only unique KitKat in the world that exists like this because you've made it yourself. And again, this is personalization, it's authenticity, it's co-collaboration, it's all those things I've been talking about. So basically, you've got to get away from the idea that you're selling anything. It's not a transaction. At this point, it's customize or die. It's a person you're serving, and they only want it their way. They want it uniquely, and that's not necessarily product-based. It's how they consume it, how they get it delivered. It's everything, every touch point in the customer journey needs to be unique and personalized. And the last one I want to talk about is authenticity. Being real, and this is really important for this next generation of consumers. Why is street food so popular all over the world? Any market I go to. It's because the next generation of consumers, they want that. They want the real thing. There's a guy in London called the Soul Burger. He makes burgers. You're not allowed to talk to him. If you talk to him, you get no burger. There's a big silent line by the hatch, and he looks into your soul as he makes the burger. He makes them by hand. He looks into your sins, your past lives. You don't get to choose your toppings. He chooses your toppings based on who you have been. He gives you the burger. It's the most delicious burger you've ever tasted. If someone in a McDonald's looks into your eyes, it means they want to kill you. That's the way. So people like the story. People like. I wrote a blog once called, your brand should grow a beard. Every brand needs to have that little of authenticity. Pop-ups. People love pop-ups because they're authentic. They're real. They're short-term. They've an energy about them. When I come to New York, Dominic Ansell's Cronut. How many people here have had a Cronut? Hands up if you've had a Cronut. Yeah. How many people queued for their Cronut? Yeah. It was an experience, wasn't it? Every time I come to New York, I want the Cronut. There's only one Cronut in the world, and you have to have the Dominic Ansell Cronut because it's the original. So you queue up here. Every time I come, they fucking never have any. I'm always last. Never, always sold out. But you want the real thing. You see, consumers want the real thing today. When I say to you about your brand, I want you to imagine your brand or business as Frankenstein. So you've put all the pieces, you've stitched all the pieces together, the head, the arm. So you've got all the bits, but you have to inject the energy and the essence into it to bring it to life for it to be relevant to this next generation. That's what makes it different. You have to give your brand true heart, or in fact, push past heart. You need to give your brand soul for this next generation to really think that you're relevant, think that you're relevant to them as a shopper, as a consumer. So ensuring that your retail experience is real. You really need to walk your store, walk your digital merchandising, walk your digital stores and think, hang on, are we real? Are we genuinely real? Are we authentic? Because if you are, you'll survive. If you're not, they'll see through you in a second and you're just another noiseless corporate. So this idea of this digital consumer, yes, we live in a digital world, but it's this social and value shifts that I've spoken about this morning that will define the success of your business in the future. And I'll finish on this quite simple metaphor. So this blue dot consumer. So do you remember these things? We called them maps. Do you remember them? They were great fun. Many a divorce happened because of these. So assuming that you've got this the right way up. Okay, you've got this the right way up, well done. What's the first thing you need to do to make this work? Yeah, figure out where you are. You have to know exactly where you are on this. It doesn't work otherwise. So let's say this is a map of Paris. So you have to know your hotel is here. Not the concept of it, but you have to know exactly the geographical reference of your hotel, the grid. And then once you know that, then what you need next? Well, you need to know where you're going, the Eiffel Tower. Yeah, but where is the Eiffel Tower? You have to know exactly where it is. Like you have to have the coordinates to know. And then once you have where I am, where I'm going, then you can use this piece of old technology. So you see, we all grew up in this room, in this world. The world is a big, big place. You're a small part of it. That's the metaphor. You grew up in that old world. And the new world, of course, is run by the blue dot consumer. The blue dot consumer is the world. They stand perfectly still at the center, and everything else revolves around them. They take a step left. Your business, your brand, your industry have to take a step left with them. That's the point. And that's the metaphor you need to keep with you. If you keep that, if you keep the shopper at the center, you will succeed. So those value systems I've talked about, freedom, that sharing economy piece, flexibility to have it my way, instantly, one press, one click, I get what I want. I expect it right first time, every time. That phygital reality that we all live inside as consumers, that customization, everything is my way, and authenticity. In terms of pictures, of course, you're free to take the pictures. I also have a 4-page PDF summary of everything I've said today. So you'll all get that pushed out through retail touchpoints later on today or after the conference. So I hope you've enjoyed that whistle-stop tour. That's my blog. If you're interested, obviously, in future of consumer and consumerology and future of retail, feel free to subscribe. I am around all day. I'm going to push that blog out on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter now, it's Ken Hughes IE. I'll push that blog out, which is again a short summary of the speech that I've just made, so you can pick that up if you're interested in the subject. And again, you can stalk me easily on any social media you want. I can always block you, which is always good. So thank you for attention. I'm going to do a second session later on today. It'll be a little different to this morning's session. I'm doing a session on creativity and innovation and on the need to take personal ownership of your own creative journey as executives. So it'll be quite an inspiring, fun, energetic session about creativity and innovation. I'm in Hub 1, I think. So if you want to come and join me in the late afternoon, I think about 3:30 for that, I'd love to see you. I've been Ken Hughes. You've been the Retail Innovation Conference 2018. Thank you very much.